Honorable Speaker of the Saeima, Honorable Minister for Smart Administration and Regional Development, Honorable Minister for Climate and Energy, ladies and gentlemen, live audience, I greet you all at the Delska topping out ceremony. I'm sure you will agree that data centers are increasingly important today. After all, we use them to store what is most precious to us: our data, our business information, even our national knowledge. And with the big wave of cyber attacks in mind, I'd even like to compare them to castles that protect us from digital criminals. In any case, you simply cannot overestimate the role of data centers today. But enough with the doom and gloom. Today, we have a celebration. Today, Monday, is a topping out ceremony and a working holiday for all of us. We have looked into the depths of the National Library of Latvia and have not found a specific origin for topping out ceremonies. They date back centuries. It is a long tradition. They take place not just in Latvia, but on every continent. And today we have a special, 2 for the price of 1. We will not only have the wreath-raising ceremony, but also place a time capsule. A capsule that will be a testament of the efforts of today's generation for the future ones, as we create the most sustainable data center in the Baltics. Today's event will consist of 2 parts. We'll start with the ceremonial part here. You will find out more about Delska forthcoming data center. There will also be a first opportunity for an exchange of ideas. The media and guests will be able to address today's speakers at the end of the event, but if there are any burning questions, we would be delighted to hear them from you. Afterwards, you get a chance to see some of the already existing data center and server room. Then we will all go to the adjacent construction site, where we will raise the wreath, place the capsule, and, among other things, hear the ceremonial speeches by our guests. But, like in a good book, we need an introduction to see what the path that has led us here has been. Ladies and gentlemen, video please. A new Delska data center in Latvia is on its way. Set to launch in 2025, the 10-megawatt Tier 3 data center will be the most energy efficient in the Baltic region. The spring of 2023 marked the start of the main construction works, with partial demolition of the existing building making way for the new data center in Riga. A year later, we started laying the foundation, with pile works and grading installation. That involved grade beam footing and deconstruction of the pile heads, as well as the installation of precast concrete columns. Till the end of 2024, the work of precast column wall, frame and floor slab montage, facade installation, and external networks will continue. This data center will be designed for efficiency and sustainability, achieving both Green Building Elite and Tier 3 certification. The facility will have 10 megawatt of power, and to meet future demands, there is the potential for expansion up to 30 megawatt on owned land. It will have up to 1,000 racks with up to 100 kilowatt per rack, which is especially beneficial for hyperscalers, AI, and high-power computing needs. The data center will be powered entirely by green energy and will use Nesti, my renewable diesel, for backup power, which lowers emissions by up to 90%. With one of the most energy-efficient systems, the Vindur Cool Wall cooling system, Train magnetic bearing chillers, and ThermoKey dry coolers. The data center will be built for resilience and efficiency, with the launch planned for 2025. Pre-book your space today to prepare your business for the future. Delska, personal touch in the data world. With applause for what we have achieved. As you can see, impressive work has been done. This is a celebration not only for the builders, but also for the owners of the facility, so I hope you will help me welcome Delska CEO, Andris Gailītis, to the stage. Come please. Hello. I am very pleased to see distinguished guests at our event, the Speaker of the Saeima and the ministers. The nature of our business is probably not very clear to a lot of people. In a way, we are invisible fighters who do something. Everyone knows about telecommunications, but there are often questions as to what data centers do. We must provide examples for why we do what we do, so that we can understand where the world is heading. The most popular things we all know are the apps and functions we use every day. What has been happening globally in the last 10 or 2 to 3 years is an exponential growth of data. So that is why we are here, working for Latvian businesses, as well as businesses in neighboring countries and the world at large. Here are only some of the data that offer an example of what happens with the functions we use. How much goes on under the bonnet in messaging apps, how much there is whenever we travel and book accommodations, and how many videos we consume. And as we can see, these numbers are very impressive. With all this growth in the consumption of data, our industry naturally has to keep up with its pace. We see that with all of the global catastrophes that have happened in recent years, like pandemics and wars, distance working and remote functions used by various businesses are generating very large amounts of data. And that is what we are all working with in this industry. In terms of the things that are most relevant in our industry and functions, you must have heard about the most popular buzzword these days, artificial intelligence. If we draw a comparison with the technologies that were out there, say, 10 years ago, so here are data centers, here are servers, and here are the computing capacities. AI is a kind of a milestone that both does a lot and consumes a lot. If 1 or 2 megawatts used to be a big deal, now 10 is quite okay. But if we look at the world, there is still plenty of room to grow. And when it comes to functional things, these are all sorts of apps that run in the data center and in the cloud. We can mention virtually anything here. Credit cards, shopping, corporate email systems, web pages. It's all the things we use but don't see where they are. People often ask me, how can the Baltics win their place under the sun? First, as someone who has been in this industry for more than 20 years, I can say that it is vertical in nature and runs through all other businesses. In our own way, we are a part of the ecosystem of any company. Our job is to make sure all other businesses can operate. In a sense, every data center that develops does things domestically and does things for export too. In terms of export markets, we are, of course, in a very good geographical position that enables us to work with different regions. Like the Nordic countries, we still have good enough climatic conditions despite global warming, and we can cool our data centers efficiently. This basically means the money we spend running our systems. Given the very rapid development of green energy, cheap green energy is sufficiently easily available in the Baltics overall. Despite the occasional difficulty and the lacking development of green energy storage, it is now making great strides. And I think it is only a matter of a few years before these problems are solved. We have a very large pool of competences. Our specialists can work with a broad variety of server and network systems. Historically, our region has had advantages compared to many others, and our knowledge of languages is far more extensive. Now, briefly about our investments. Infrastructure development is specifically a priority for the companies of our group. We invested in improving the energy efficiency of our existing data center, which is directly related to green technologies, as well as to basic routine work that enables us to do the same job with less energy. The construction of the new data center and the development of the additional network for it costs at least 30 million euros. And we already starting to look if the figure will have to be increased as we continue to take such great strides. Because the demand trends we are seeing are very optimistic. We have bought more land both here and in Vilnius in order to build additional data centers to meet this demand. This year, we did one big thing. We merged the group's companies under a new name, Delska, which gives us a much better position for entering big markets. It's not just about using a single name, but also about competences and capabilities. We merged 2 companies, DEA in Riga and Data Logistics Center in Lithuania. Our Lithuanian colleagues have a fair deal more experience in network communications. Now we have a network infrastructure that extends not only to Lithuania, but also as far as Frankfurt and the Nordics, giving our potential and current clients incredible potential for running corporate systems in different geographic locations. Over the years, we have worked a lot to speak the same language as our clients. That's always been the biggest problem for IT companies. We understand what we're doing, but explaining it to clients has been one of our biggest problems. The goal we want to achieve is that we speak to the client in a language they understand, though we handle the problems that are important to them. And that's the principle and the driving force for us that we want to move forward with. Our portfolio is full of big and small names. Here I have mentioned just a few from Latvia, some from the Baltics, and a number from partners elsewhere. And here is what I've told you about the availability of network infrastructure in the group's companies. We already have a fair number of clients whom we provide with enough various computing resources, both in the Baltics and beyond. These resources are geographically distributed for different reasons. This is because people abroad seek business and want security. Given the current geopolitical situation, many clients, including ourselves, may want to move some things to an external location so that a certain amount of data is duplicated and available elsewhere. Now briefly about our infrastructure. We are currently working on new infrastructure, which is LVDC1, while the existing data center is delivering the results, and we can develop on this foundation. We have our historical underground data center in Grīziņkalns and 2 Tier 3 certified sites in Vilnius. At the moment, we are working on developing at least 1 or 2 new data center locations in Vilnius, so we are taking great strides in our progress. And one of the things that I'm sure has been on everybody's lips in recent years is everything green, sustainability, and all that goes with these things. Being efficient is a basic thing for a data center so that it costs less money and consumes less power, if nothing else. We buy large amounts of electricity and we sell information. It's not exactly like that, but you can say that on a surface. There are many parameters, like the things related to CO2 emissions and the direct PUE parameter, which represents the efficiency of the data center. Of course, the possible values here are many, and they vary around the world. They depend on the geographical location, climate. What we are aiming for is 1.3. This is a standard level of efficiency, which we can reasonably achieve with our capabilities and at our latitudes. We use all the latest technologies whenever possible, and we buy green electricity. We provide green diesel for our diesel generators. We heat our office with the energy generated by the data center. We try working with municipal governments to make it possible to feed this heat into district heating systems. We'll see what comes out of it, because the issue is building the infrastructure to connect our facility. Now let's look at this beautiful facility which we've gathered here today to celebrate. We live in an interesting time when building a data center is not easy at all. Because of artificial intelligence, everyone wants to have all the rack space in a single cabinet. The amount is astronomical, but not like in the past when 20 or 30 kilowatts was a lot. Now it goes as high as 100 or 200 kilowatts. Imagine what this means for the whole infrastructure. We also live in an era when, because of geopolitics, delivery times are unpredictable for everything. The same is true with the costs. It's crazy. As you figure these issues out, you never know when things will happen and how much they will cost. And there aren't many investors willing to sign up to a risk where they don't know how it will come out in the end. We are moving forward anyway. We want Latvia to be known for being one of the first stops for all of the big players in the world. Hyperscalers, we call them, who need the capacities we're talking about. Briefly about the details. 6,000 square meters is the total floor area. The total capacity is 10 megawatt, which means that our net IT capacity will be about 6 megawatt. This is what we can actually put in the cabinets. And 10 server rooms. We're quite flexible, as we can set up larger and smaller server rooms thanks to how the infrastructure is built. This slide is about how good and beautiful the facility we are building is, and about how time-consuming it is for the designers to comply with all the certifications that we need for our day-to-day work, about business predictability and green technologies, about security and the ability to work with the government as well as private entities working in e-commerce. You have to spend a lot of time figuring this out. We joke about how we're terrible clients for our constructors. Not in the sense that we don't pay them well. I mean, they could probably write a whole book about how we won't leave them in peace and keep asking them to do something differently all the time. Here is what I was saying about climate conditions. We are in a very good position to be efficient enough. The cooling systems we'll use are not the conventional ones you are used to seeing in data centers here, with nice big black cabinets. We'll show you in a moment what it looks like in this data center, with big, beautiful walls and chilled air coming out of them. This was chosen for one purpose: efficiency and saving space. Our approach to the time frame is hard going, but going, or something like that. I'm purely a tech guy. I have been doing this job since 2005, which has made me change the way I speak and the way I explain things. Please ask your questions if you want more detailed clarifications about anything. Thank you, Mr. Gailītis. Let me shake your hand on this beautiful day. I will invite you back on stage in a moment. Maybe there will be a question. We have many guests today, and right now I would like to invite one of them to the stage. I am, of course, talking about Inga Bērziņa, the Minister for Smart Administration and Regional Development. Let's greet her with an applause.
Honorable Speaker of the Saeima Mieriņa, Minister for Climate and Energy Mr. Melnis, Delska CEO, Mr. Gailītis. Hello and thank you for inviting me. It is a great pleasure to be here. I would like to say that this is truly a remarkable moment for Latvia and its IT sector. Its importance is supported by the fact that the information and tech industry accounted for up to 6% of our gross domestic product in 2023. And if we look at the taxes paid, the ICT sector is the third largest taxpayer in the country. Also, the exports it generates have risen to 2.7 billion euros and continue to grow. As a whole, this demonstrates the significance of this sector. So building and opening such a center in Latvia, a center that, as we see, is the greenest in the Baltics and Nordics. But I would like to add that it is one of the most important and secure data centers, too. This is something we currently need and something we can be proud of. Mr. Gailītis already mentioned artificial intelligence. AI takes a lot more digital resources from us, far more than has been the case so far. We can discuss the topic of AI, of how good or bad it is, how ethical or unethical it is, how much we want or don't want to use it in our daily lives. Whatever we think, AI is now a part of our life. It is near us. People are using it today and will use it more and more. And we as a country must take responsibility and remain capable of operate in a world that is rapidly evolving and with technology that changes so fast. Artificial intelligence is one of the technologies that I believe will become a new step or leap for humanity as a whole. So currently, the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Regional Development and we are also working on creating a national artificial intelligence center in Latvia. We have made arrangements with people from the industry, and I would like to thank them for that. I also want to thank universities, Latvia's brightest minds, for making it possible for this center to work in Latvia at all, so that we really end up with services that are friendly, quick, simple, and available to every resident of our country and every business. And thus, I'd like to sincerely thank you again and congratulate you on this important step, which is critical for another reason that I have not mentioned yet, Mr. Gailītis has: cybersecurity. It is important that these data centers are secure. So thank you very much, and I wish that your plans come to fruition. May the center grow and bring value to all of us.
Thank you for the warm greeting, Inga Bērziņa. So, are there any questions? Let me invite Mr. Gailītis back on our stage. Yes, I see Mrs. Mieriņa has a question. Please raise your hands. Give me your hands if you have any questions. We will be happy to reply. Let's listen.
I actually have two questions. One is that I saw you mention that you use the generated heat to heat your office. But with the amounts of data you process, you generate more heat than you can consume. Where does it go now? Out in the air?
At the moment, yes. The main thing is about being as efficient as possible ourselves. And we use technology enabling us to use compressors as little as possible, but still also heat the air.
The second question is about viruses. Technology is moving forward. And you said that protecting and storing data are, of course, priorities. But we also know that the development of various viruses continues, and these are very likely to be used for hacking and interference. What would you say to your clients? How many steps ahead are you thinking? How hard are you working on this issue, and how much time do you dedicate to it, perhaps?
This is a complex matter. Of course, there are two parts to the answer to this question. It's technology and specialists. The hardware won't do nothing if you don't have good specialists. And in terms of viruses and data protection, then of course you have to put enough effort into all of that, managing the infrastructure to defend against viruses and things like that. This is associated with the technologies used by the data center's management department in what has to do with clients and their data. We have two sides, ours or that of our clients. There are clients who do not let us into their systems. If we take charge, however, we use the IT tools and security specialists that we agreed on with the client. It's a multifaceted issue, and it depends mainly on how much the clients themselves are prepared to think about it and what resources they want to commit. Because, of course, we have all the basic stuff and the knowledge, and we do things as well as we can. But there are certain particular things that can only be done with the involvement of the client. This is a very topical issue, and mostly likely to be related to the level of knowledge of the average computer user, to how seriously we take what we do with the computer. Yes, sometimes the data are so important and critical that clients choose to protect them themselves and keep us out, saying that it is their domain. There are clients for whom we only provide infrastructure, server operation, data storage, and network hardware. And beyond that, at the application and database level, they won't let us in. There are clients we manage ourselves. There it is our responsibility. It is a set of various engineering elements. Maybe there is another question? One final question from me. We have seen the capacity, potential for what it will be possible to achieve. What do businesses and the government need to do to be able to export all these valuable services even better and to get a start on the international market, making the big players want to come and store data here in Latvia? Let's put it this way. I have never said that the government doesn't help. Every undertaking has its own and tools that can be used. For data centers, there likely was a question of where we put the heat. The whole world is developing in line with green mentality, and on the one hand, we are moving data centers out of the city, and on the other, this is a wonderful chance to reuse the heat in an urban environment. It would be great if more attention could be paid to it. In order to be able to deliver the heat to a 9-story house, we first need to build the infrastructure. This needs to be done in a way that is a little better thought through, on time, and together. Then, everyone benefits. We give the heat away and someone else gets it at a better price. This makes everyone happy. Right? Who would have thought some time ago that data centers would also become heating producers? Once all the infrastructure was in place, it became clear to everyone that everything has to be adjusted. And this is a new opportunity that we hope to take advantage of with our partners. Let's give a round of applause to Mr. Gailītis. But let's not leave yet, because we'll also have a festive race for the cake before the coffee break. I'm saying goodbye to our live viewers for now, but don't go yet. We'll continue in about 20 minutes. The film crew is already at the construction site, and you too will see the raising of the wreath and the burying of the time capsule, so stay tuned. Dear guests, please come closer. As you can see, the size of the data center is considerable. With these impressive vaults, it is probably the first time I sound like a priest in a church. And hello to all our live viewers. Thanks for being with us today. This is the second ceremonial part at the future Delska impressive data center. Here, on these new premises, there will be something that will evolve, grow, and move forward. During the first part, we discussed the importance of this data center and got a better understanding of what it will look like and how it will work. So let's continue with the celebrations, and we have the main guests of the ceremony who too have prepared their greetings for us. And thus, let me first invite the very honorable Speaker of the Saeima, Daiga Mieriņa, for an address and the ceremonial sealing of the message for future generations. Let's welcome her with an applause.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Mr. Gailītis, distinguished guests, and Delska team. I am really happy to be here. It is not so often that a politician gets to be at such beautiful and momentous events. And yes, reading about this company, I found it's been 25 years, more than 25 years. I am very pleased to see that in Latvia. A company of this scale has grown and has joined forces with our colleagues in the Baltics, in Lithuanian. It is one of the strongest companies of its kind, companies that provide data services in the Baltic states. I would like to take this opportunity and say a big thank you to all the employees who have put their efforts and their strength their energy and resources into making it possible for this company to exist. Let's be frank. This is something that has propelled Latvia's economy forward in the most literal meaning of the word. Thank you very much for your work. It's been a pleasure to hear a lot of new, innovative things. I would not hesitate to say that this company is characterized by quality, precision, high added value, and of course, this is what we need to spur our export capacity and our growth. There have already been mentions of artificial intelligence and of human resources. I want to say that people have been and remain our value. And we see that it is people who create that high added value. We must take pride in this, and we must talk more about our successes. Because we often say things that may not have gone particularly well. We criticize ourselves, but here I want to say that Latvia can and Latvia's people can. And our people are intelligent and good. This is why it is such a great pleasure for me to be here today and take part in placing this capsule. I wish you many more opportunities for growth. May your creative and innovative spirit go beyond everything, because there is, and will always be, something to strive for. As Rainey said, those who can will transform. I wish you not to be afraid of these changes. And thanks again for the massive work you have done for all of Latvia. Thank you very much.
Yes, innovation also drives development. All this goes hand in hand with the topics of climate and energy. So let me call up here the Minister for Climate and Energy, Kaspars Melnis. Let's welcome him with an applause. It is a great pleasure to be here today, and I am truly proud of how much we know, of our plans and ideas that we talk so much about. And then this is what we make a reality. And it's a tremendous thing that there are companies taking risks that go forward. As the Minister for Climate and Energy, I am delighted to mention in that big headline that this facility is one of the greenest. But the real joy and pride is not in being greenest for the sake of being green, but that it is the greenest because it is more efficient and economically sound, and that this is the direction in which we are going. This is what the future-oriented businesses are looking at. Businesses that think about the long term. Those who build not for the next 5 or 10 years, but for the next 50. And the focus on latest technologies, latest solutions comes next. It is not uncommon for there to be in Latvia ambitious business projects with technologies that are cutting edge not only in the Baltics and Europe, but also around the world. This is what we can do. We can implement innovative projects. We can be efficient, and we need to take more pride in it, to talk about it, because we are doing many impressive things here. And this is one of those projects that we can be proud of. It may be just a small thing, but as you drive by, it's nice to see that yes, look, the company is growing. Look, we are moving forward. But when you see the figure of more than 30 million investments, it also stands for a general contribution to our economy. To some extent, it also shows that, yes, international investors, too, see us as a secure and stable place, that they can invest here, and that we can grow and give a boost to others. We should also be more proud of what we can and what we do. It is a real pleasure to see that there are businesses who are doing this, which makes one sincerely proud. Good luck. I wish your growth to continue. This may be just the first step in a longer journey. Thank you and good luck. Thank you, Minister. So, we're looking at our first critical task, raising the ceremonial wreath that you saw as you came in. The wreath is really huge, and you need a crane to raise it. And we will all be able to watch the process, including the live audience, so making sure we're broadcasting the right angles is vital. That's why our film crew is already at the construction site. As you can see, the ceremonial wreath is being lifted, and I call the foreman, Andris, to the front as we watch this solemn event. Mr. Vainovskis is here, yes, with a round of applause. So, Andris, what does it feel like to witness this momentous occasion as a builder? It feels fantastic, because it means one huge cycle of our work is complete. We have gone from a bare, simple construction pit to the point where we put the reinforced concrete structures together and reach the highest point of the building. I am simply beyond words. In traditional houses, the highest point is usually the ridge of the roof. What is the location the wreath currently being lifted to? The highest point of this building is the very top of the cargo lift shaft, and it will remain the highest point of the building once it's completed. I also have a perhaps less serious question. We've already been discussing this, the weight of this wreath. It's a bit more than a kilo. Probably far, far more. How will you fasten it at the top? Zip ties won't work here, will they? They won't indeed. There is a special wooden structure we set up for attaching the wreath. Then we'll have to survive its 10 days intact, all according to tradition. As far as I understand, our forefathers also kept that wreath on the top floor of the house afterwards. Hopefully there will be room for a wreath here too. Although the rules are a bit different for a data center than for just a house, aren't they? Sure, but this will be something that the Delska team will handle, because once those 10 days run out, we will hand the wreath over to them. I'm sure we, the builders, and Delska will find a solution for where to put it, but it has to stay in the building. What a beautiful view we have now of the wreath being installed. Is there perhaps anything that a builder is most proud of at this moment? Because we see the massive scale of the thing. What does this mean from the construction point of view? Clearly, there is still work left, but a lot has been done. I really want to thank Delska for entrusting us with this work. Many thanks to their team for working with us and addressing all sorts of problems. With a structure like this, and with the weight and complexity of the individual elements that this building has, you have to all the time closely work with their specialists so the data center ends up being what the client wants and is in line with global requirements and technologies. We're using all the modern technologies. We see now that the wreath is about to be seated in its place of honor. I hope there are no traffic jam on the Salisbury Road right now because of people taking selfies with this really meaningful moment. Jokes aside, it is not often that we see a topping out ceremony like this. As you can see, a few workers on the roof are now trying to steer it in the right direction. The outer diameter of the wreath is more than 3 meters. 3 meters is a lot more than Bērziņa's full reach with outstretched arm. Did you do a grand rehearsal of sorts beforehand? Something to figure out what works and how? Certainly. We did it to adjust that base structure and confirm that it can actually support the wreath and avoid any mishaps. Now we're witnessing the first dramatic moment. The wreath must be rotated in the right position. Looks like the workers are professionals and handled the task. Now we're looking at the final meters for the 3-meter wreath. Did you weigh it beforehand? Is it known roughly how much it weighs? Between 300 and 500 kilograms. Wow, that's one substantial wreath. You wouldn't put it on an average guy's head, would you? No. But a big building needs a big wreath. Yes. I wonder where it was woven. Did village girls come together to help in a local meadow, or was it a custom order? It was a custom order. And so, the wreath is about to be put in place. As you can see, there is a special strut on the wreath, and it will prop up from the bottom. Is that right? It has a few attachment places, so that it doesn't move with the wind and remains in place for its 10 days with honor. I actually was about to ask about it. We will see this at the top of the building during the tour. The wind there is strong. You can already see that the wind is there. The leaves rustle, and the wreath is yet to be fastened. And so, the big countdown, the wreath is being fixed in place. And I think we can say that the wreath is now attached at the highest point of the building. With a round of applause. Thank you, Andris. Congratulations to the construction team. An impressive structure, an impressive wreath, more than 3 meters in diameter, weighing at 300 to 500 kilograms, will be attached. You will be able to watch it broadcast in the background. This is a real moment of elation for me too, standing here. I'm sure it is the same for you. The ceremony must continue, because fastening this wreath at the highest point of the building is just one item on the agenda. We also have the time capsule. Let me invite here the Delska CEO, Mr. Gailītis, to present to us the contents of the capsule and all the guests to sign the message in it. Mr. Gailītis, I would like now to ask you to present to us the capsule's message for future generations. What can we see before us here? You know what? It's hard to figure out what to tell the future generations, but I'm sure in time, what we do will seem self-evident and simple. But now we must say that we are working in an era where technology changes rapidly, and we are at a turning point, specifically because of what has been happening in the last 2 years. We hope that what we are doing here, that what we are building, will help the digital development of humanity and of our region, our Latvia in particular. And we are very hopeful and very confident that one of the reasons for why we are doing this is to make Latvia stand out for its capacity to work with big amounts of data, with big international clients, with big export orders. This is the overarching goal for why we are here, so that future generations do the same. And we will have all, as I say, done our homework. Thank you, Mr. Gailītis. I'd like to invite to the stage the Speaker of the Saeima, the Minister for Climate and Energy, and the owner of LVS Building, Gailītis. But first, a moment for a photo with the capsule. Don't hesitate to come and smile at the photographer. We must immortalize this moment, and while our colleagues smile for the pictures, it is worth saying that a copy of today's Latvia's newspaper and a ceremonial coin will also be put in the capsule. This ceremonial coin is a coin of energy. Notably, the artist created it with nuclear energy elements in it. Now, if we are ready, let me invite you to sign the solemn message. Mr. Gailītis, let me ask you to be the first. A smile for the pictures. Jolanta, your signature too, please, on behalf of the builders. Madam Speaker of the Saeima, Daiga Mieriņa, your signature and a smile for the cameras as well. And finally, Honorable Minister, your signature under the solemn message. I now call Mr. Gailītis to place, one by one, all the items in the capsule. Let's start with the biggest part, which is the message and the newspaper. We should probably arrange them in parallel. Yes, put them in together, inside. Do it slowly, thoughtfully. The coin should definitely be taken out of the box. Place the explanation, too. Yes, the coin falls into the capsule with a pretty sound. And now we screw it shut, smiling for the cameras. Please take the capsule in your hand, and perhaps all of you, come together here in front of the Delska logo and also the ceremonial picture with the capsule. Go ahead and gather in the center, so that everyone gets the chance to hold the capsule and smile for the cameras. Then one by one, smile and hand it further. Speaker of the Saeima passes it to the minister. The minister hands it to the builder. Make sure to smile for the pictures, so that all of you can post them on their socials saying, I held the capsule in my hands. All right, now that we are done with all the pictures, let me ask Mr. Gailītis to say a word of thanks to the building contractor. This facility clearly is not the easiest thing one could choose to build. It is a huge challenge for all of us. I wish to thank our builders from LVS Building. They work like a Swiss watch. We are very satisfied with their performance, with how quickly they adapt to our requirements. Also, a big thank you to our construction teams, because it's already become a joke how our entire work with them is one big change. We change something every week. And, of course, thanks to the Delska team. To everyone involved. I have the best team on planet Earth. So thank you all. Let's give an applause and thanks to the builders. All right, I hear that the place is ready for the capsule now. Please go to the end of the room. You can also watch online and on the screen. Go ahead, go to the ceremonial placement site with the capsule in front. I've been told this capsule will not disappear from view. This specially prepared area will also have a glass placed over it, so it will be visible to future generations and so that they don't have to look for it for a long time. Let me ask our guests to gather here. Those who want to watch can easily gather here at the front. Also on this side, by the stairs, you will be able to see memorable moment of laying the capsule. This is a truly impressive building. Those who may be watching us live cannot comprehend its scale, but if you drive along the Salaspils Road, you will definitely see this 3-story building. For the next 10 days, there will be a wreath visible at its roof. Afterwards, our colleagues, I'm sure, will be able to store it securely. This wreath is no laughing matter. It weighs between 300 and 500 kilograms and is 3 meters wide. I am also asking the people holding the capsule, the representative of the builders, the guests of honor to please stand here, in front of us. Don't hesitate to come closer. This moment can also be seen online. And the moment is here. It's time to immortalize the laying of the capsule with ceremonial trowels. The ceremonial trowels are ready and the capsule is now being laid. Mr. Gailītis, being a master of all trades, will lay it momentously, a solid base for the capsule. And with the help of the colleagues, the capsule will be put in its place. As I already mentioned, the capsule has in it the traditional copy of today's newspaper and an energy coin, which was not chosen at random. The obverse of the energy coin shows a nuclear reaction, while the reverse shows 2 groups of circular lines with gilding, with an isotope symbol on the sides. All this in a message for future generations, with applause. Yolanta Lassi from LVS Building contributes to this solemn process, so that the capsule sits securely and for a long time. I will not even ask for how many years it will sit there. We are building thoroughly here so that the building lasts for countless generations. With applause. The capsule is in, so as you can see, its top will be visible to all, because as far as I understand, that there will be a glass cover above the capsule so that it can be seen and enjoyed by all passing by. But now, I would like to thank our live audience and to thank you. We have done important work. First and foremost, we have discovered what data centers do, how important this building is. And we have also raised an impressive wreath that will delight every passerby and all the staff and construction workers for the next 10 days. We have also laid a capsule in the building's foundation. The building will remain here for many years to come, working not only for the data center, but also for the entire Latvian economy, providing space for the data that will be stored here. So I would like you to join me in a round of applause for the Delska team and the building contractor. My name is Andris, and I'd like to say goodbye to our online audience. However, live broadcast will continue as I call for the Rihards Kalatovs, Chief Technology Officer, who will take us on a tour of all 3 floors of the building and show our guests and the online audience just how impressive it really is. Rihards, I hand this ceremony over to you. Yes, hello to those whom I haven't yet met today. It has been said a few times today that this new data center will boast energy-efficient and sustainable solutions. If you look at a map of the Baltics, you'll find that there aren't that many data centers in our region. Meanwhile, in Europe they're growing like mushrooms, and at this point, I would like to mention that it is very common to hear in Latvia that we are struggling developing our economy. But I think that our sector, like data centers and IT in general, is where we can grow. There are no limiting factors. As you know, we have also managed to raise a sufficiently large amount of investments, more than 30 million in our region, and the solutions here are as competitive as anywhere else in Europe. So, it makes no difference whether the data center and the data are located here or in another European region. In order to make all of this even more attractive to our clients, we have got certificates and Tier 3. so that they can be sure that this data center will not shut down and that it will run without interruption. This will also be demonstrated by the testing that we'll carry out once the construction ends and, of course, by LEED certification. Right now, there are just 19 buildings in Latvia that have that certificate. It means that the building was constructed with green mentality in mind, so to speak. There is a very long list of things that you need to put in place to get this certificate. Starting from the choice of materials to, we joke about this, stuff like putting meters on taps to record how much water we use in the office. LEED certification is very complex and really shows what we are going for. All of the first floor, where we are now, will be dedicated to infrastructure and technology. Here, at the back, there will be uninterruptible power supply systems that will make sure the data center keeps running if there is a power blackout. These units will be the first to provide the data center with power, and there, behind the small door, you can see the rooms for the diesel generators, which will take this task over from the UPS systems until the main supply is restored. I can't say this happens often in Latvia, but all kinds of situations have to be prepared for, including power outages. The first floor will also house a large part of the cooling systems, located at the back of the room. Closer to the front of the room will be the communications, which is one of the most important things for the clients. Setting up the hardware is one thing. Someone being able to retrieve data from it is a different story. Communication lines for connections with a large number of operators are installed here, as already we have teamed up with the Lithuanian company, and they have vast experience building and developing communication networks. So now, we offer communication lines in Frankfurt and Amsterdam, across the Baltic states, at any speed the client needs. All these communications will be available in these rooms. I think we can now go to the second floor. Let's also take a look inside the rooms. We will have a total of 10 server rooms on 2 floors. Bigger, smaller server rooms, ranging from half a megawatt to 1 megawatt. Our clients can, of course, also take individual cabinets and even individual devices. It is not a limiting factor. Overall, the data center is to have 1,000 cabinets with up to 100 kilowatts of power per cabinet. As part of normal, or shall we say, routine operation, clients need up to 20 kilowatts of power these days. But as noted already, this is not enough for artificial intelligence. That use calls for racks with a power of up to 100 kilowatts, which we can fully provide with new cooling technologies. Now, I think we can go further. Let's look at the third floor. Right, this is the third floor, which is an exact copy of the second floor. The other 5 server rooms will be located here for clients to set their hardware up in. As you can see, the entire wall will be built with the Vinder cool wall technology, providing highly energy-efficient cooling. In essence, it will be one big radiator with fans and a very pleasant flow of cool air to the client's hardware. The cooling devices will be on the roof above us. There will be chillers and dry coolers. The technical features of these devices have been discussed at length. We will use magnetic levitation compressors for extremely high efficiency at any data center load. This year, we've got to the roof of the building. The installation of metal constructions on the roof for setting up the cooling equipment will start soon. We will complete the internal engineering network as well. The next year will, of course, present us with the biggest challenge, because all the engineering networks will have to be fit into these rooms. They may look very big to you, but trust me, Our teams are already working full-time to get those engineering networks in. I think that's it for the data center. We look forward to seeing you at the next topping out and the launch of this data center. Thank you. A new Delska data center in Latvia is on its way. Set to launch in 2025, the 10-megawatt Tier 3 data center will be the most energy efficient in the Baltic region. The spring of 2023 marked the start of the main construction works, with partial demolition of the existing building making way for the new data center in Riga. A year later, we started laying the foundation, with pile works and grading installation. That involved grade beam footing and deconstruction of the pile heads, as well as the installation of precast concrete columns. Till the end of 2024, the work of precast column wall, frame and floor slab montage, facade installation, and external networks will continue. This data center will be designed for efficiency and sustainability, achieving both Green Building Elite and Tier 3 certification. The facility will have 10 megawatt of power, and to meet future demands, there is the potential for expansion up to 30 megawatt on owned land. It will have up to 1,000 racks with up to 100 kilowatt per rack, which is especially beneficial for hyperscalers, AI, and high-power computing needs. The data center will be powered entirely by green energy and will use Nesti, my renewable diesel, for backup power, which lowers emissions by up to 90%. With one of the most energy-efficient systems, the Vindur Cool Wall cooling system, Train magnetic bearing chillers, and ThermoKey dry coolers. The data center will be built for resilience and efficiency, with the launch planned for 2025. Pre-book your space today to prepare your business for the future.
Delska, personal touch in the data world.